Welcome to a new episode of East Meets West. I know that's my MJ impersonation. Horrible. But I am your host, Conrad Pasquale. I'm joined by the very talented, the ball knower, Melly Mel. And today we're here to recap the first two rounds of the Women's March Madness NCAA tournament. MJ will eventually rejoin us. You know, he's going to catch up on his film study. So he'll probably join us maybe after the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, maybe the Final Four, somewhere in there. But yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, if you're tuning in, you're probably a very passionate basketball fan, at the very least, a passionate women's basketball fan. So I don't think we necessarily have to go through every game. You know, I think today we're just going to talk about some of the things that stood out, ideally good, some maybe not so good, standout teams, standout players, and some things that maybe like kind of provide some good takeaways or maybe some themes worth monitoring moving forward, both in this tournament, but also possibly moving into next season. So without much further ado, in general, Mel, how are we feeling?
How are we feeling? I'm personally feeling great because I don't really do brackets, but I am loyal to my one team. So I'm feeling great with UConn. I've picked them to win again this year. So I don't know. I'm excited. Even in regards to like all of the four number ones, I'm pleased. I think the games are going exactly how we anticipate them. So I'm feeling fine. I've enjoyed all the games so far. How you feeling?
I mean, I'm overall it was very entertaining
Mm-hmm.
first two rounds. But I mean, I would be remiss if I said that like or I would probably be a little bit dishonest if I said that like I enjoyed every game because let's be real, right? I mean, a majority of the round of 64 games were blowouts, you
Yeah.
know? And I don't say that to like shade any one team. It's just like I know like throughout the regular season, some writers who cover women's basketball with regularity, you know, and I'm not trying to throw shade on any of their takes, but you know, just kind of talking about like how there is potentially like more parity, like growing parity within the women's basketball, the D1 women's basketball landscape, and I'm just not quite there yet, you know, and I think specifically the women's tournament more than the men's tournament is kind of evident of that. Like you could make an argument, you could definitely convince me that there's a little bit more parity within conferences,
Mm-hmm.
but like cross conferences, like the high majors versus like the mid majors, I don't think it's nowhere near an even
Even playing field.
playing field.
I agree because I also feel like probably not a hot take, but I feel like mid majors should get their own tournament, right? Like I don't know. I feel like watching mid majors in the first two rounds is kind of disappointing, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
they might have performed crazy in their conferences and killed it over there, but then like you said, you get to see like that gap. They can't like I the Richmond and Nebraska game. I remember we were texting through it and I was like, yo, this is about to be the game. Like Maggie's about to have the time of her life. And I think I might have been cooking dinner and it was the first two quarters. I was like, okay, like something's happening. But then Britt Prince and Nebraska, you could see like a team that's been here before or a
Yeah.
team that like knows what they're doing, just take over. Because that third quarter was crazy. I don't want to say it was abysmal. It was crazy. Like they went on like what? It was like a 30-point quarter, I believe, that game. And then what was a close game for 2 seconds just blew wide open. So I agree with you in terms of the women's tournament. You still have your blue bloods who we know are gonna dominate no matter who they're put up against in the first few rounds. What I think is pretty interesting though, I was excited for the teams, for those teams that did qualify and make it in. I did like
Yeah.
that, 'cause, like a little bit different. Like Murray State got in, Cal Baptist got in, like just teams that you wouldn't think would make it into the first few rounds. I was excited to see them. I like that Richmond was
UC San
there.
Diego,
UC
baby.
San Diego was there. Western Illinois, Fairfield, like even they became ranked. Who else did Rhode Island, even though they just lost their coach. I mean, come on. So like just that was exciting to see, and I can see the game growing in that way where like those smaller D1 schools are definitely making a push. They definitely need more talent to compete with the true
Yeah.
number ones. That's just nil and everything. Like
Yeah, and I think that further kind of emphasizes what we're talking about here, right? Where again, within the conferences, within these mid-major and low-major conferences, there is a little bit more parity because those conferences are pretty much, for the most part, a one-bid conference, right?
mhm.
It's basically whoever wins your conference tournament, assuming you have one, you know, you're the one representing your conference at the tournament. So, like you said, a lot of new faces, which is really cool. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's disappointing, but I definitely understand the segment of fans who say, you know what, it's probably like I don't really need to tune in until the Sweet
The Elite
16.
Eight or Sweet 16.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And even then, and we'll get to that, right? Even then, you can make an argument like we may see more like disparity, right, between the high seeds and the lower seeds, but we'll see.
Crazier things have happened. So
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. But overall, I think it's been good. I think the teams that we expected to advance, like the top seeds, the 1 and 2 seeds,
yeah,
right?
like
Like
the
for the
UConn,
most part,
Texas, the South Carolinas,
at the
UCLA.
very least, the 1 seeds, they handled their business quite
Yeah.
handily, you know. So on that note, just kind of moving on. Mel, you pretty much consumed every game, so just like I did. Maybe not in real time, but I know you definitely DVR'd them like I did. So, what were some of your favorite games? And for whatever reason, not necessarily like, the most compelling, maybe there's just something that, like really stood out to you.
Yeah, I mean, so the first few ones, I would say I liked Minnesota and Green Bay. That was exciting for me. I'm rooting for a Maya battle. I'm rooting for Minnesota. Again, a team that I'm excited that they made it in. Like, I don't know. That game was exciting. It was what 75. Minnesota ended up pulling it out 75-58. That was a good one. Trying to think. I'm not gonna say. I was gonna say the Iowa State Syracuse game just because people went into that game thinking the Audie Crooks of it all, and they were
Right.
just like they're gonna get overpowered because they don't have their point guard like Dominique Darius isn't there. But I'm like, yo, we have Philia and we still have Uche, and I think she got to show off like what makes her special. And I'll bring her up later for another segment that we have coming up. But I really enjoyed that game because I picked Syracuse as the underdog to win, and they delivered a really good game. So I was excited for that one. Um, I expected more from the North Carolina Western Illinois game. Again, I was rooting for a lot of underdogs. So that was okay for a little bit. Notre Dame and Fairfield, I enjoyed my time. I think what Hannah and crew, I picked Fairfield to win just for full disclosure. But I think what have them getting back KK has been great. De Jesus is playing like we know she can play. So I thought that was, and Hannah's always she's always going to give you her 100, trying to will the team to the next spot. So that game was interesting. The Baylor, Nebraska, Arizona State game was good in Virginia because Virginia might be our Cinderella team. Illinois, Colorado. I've been a big Colorado fan. Kind of sad that they lost, but Illinois has been a young team, and I see them coming back next year. I'm trying to think what other game from the first few rounds. I think I had this written down. Oh, Michigan State and Colorado State. That was a time. My Ducks and VT were a time. Clemson and USC broke my heart. That last call is still questionable for me. I know she didn't get it off in time, but what a shot. And we were just talking about this. Kentucky and West Virginia. That ended.
And that was good. Yeah. Yeah. As far as opening weekend games go,
I
yeah.
was like, that was tight. Like, yeah, that was crazy. Because wow, had the ball just dropped, like that would have been so much different. But she had a great career. So, yeah, those are the ones I think stuck out to me a lot, that were just like, oh, Oklahoma State last night, Oklahoma State and UCLA. Just on the grounds of, I thought Oklahoma State put up a really good fight, against a number one seed. The first quarter, had they, I think it was more of like a shock value, right? Like, had they come out stronger, where they were like, privy to playing teams like a UCLA that's a bigger team, bigger guards. You're playing against a 6'7" center. I think they did really well because the other three quarters were neck and neck, and like,
Yeah.
for a team that's not as big, they also matched them on rebounds. Like, I was impressed. And Akat, I thought
Okot,
she,
yeah.
yeah, I thought she did really well. So yeah, I mean, shout out to them. Like, I thought they fought really hard. So that really impressed me, even though it still ended up to be, what, a 19-point blowout. But, like, if you're just box score watching, you wouldn't even have seen what was going on in that game. So that was it for me. I think I just named a whole bunch of games.
Nice. You only named like the entire bracket. No, I'm glad that you ended that you did mention the UCLA Oklahoma State game. I actually thought that, like, kind of watching I rewatched that game. I mean, I watched it in real time, but rewatching it earlier today, at least the first half, like, or at least after the first quarter, you really get to see. I think Oklahoma State, they found, like, as you said, they found a way to adjust. Now, did they find, like, oh my God, some way to crack UCLA? Absolutely not. But they kind of found a way to kind of push the limits of UCLA's defensive construct, right? Meaning that, okay, if you really think about it, right, they're starting, we've talked about this before, their starting lineup is essentially four guards or four wings, wings, whatever you want to call them, right? And then Lauren Betts, right? And again, they use their length and their lateral quickness, their guards, that is, right, to basically allow Lauren to remain in a drop. And I don't say that pejoratively, right? More often than not, UCLA, they can keep their players, right? They can keep their man in front of them, and Lauren can just kind of like go if she wants to, like, step out, out towards the nail. She can be even like more aggressive. But you start to see, right, with kind of like the double drag screens that Oklahoma State was using from the second quarter and onward, right, that they were able to start slipping. They get the slide by. They were starting to slide by UCLA's guards. But then this is where Lauren shows her dominance, and this is where, like,
uses their size and
that's when she's like, okay, I can take on this one-on-one matchup against a guard or like a smaller or speedier athlete. And she did. I mean, you saw her. I mean, like, they were trying to literally run circles around her, and she was not fooled one bit, So it kind of like puts other teams on alert. Like, hey, right? Like, if you think you have a speed advantage over us, like, you might not, you know what I'm saying? So that was definitely cool. Definitely, I wouldn't say illuminating, but it's cool to just actually see it, and have like that visceral reaction. For me, since you already named like half the bracket, I won't repeat all of them, but I'm going to go all the way back to the first four, and the game between Virginia and Arizona State.
I named that.
And again, Virginia, we're probably going to mention them again in the next couple minutes. But I mean, my God, right? Like, as much as we just kind of were a little bit critical of the selection committee and how they kind of constructed this tournament field, I got to give them credit for the first four matchups, because for the most part, they were all even. Like, they were pretty much evenly matched, as you said, right? The Nebraska Richmond game, it eventually got away from them, but I mean, it was for like 2.5 quarters, right? Like, it was pretty definitely close. Yeah, it was a back and forth affair. So what I'm trying to say is I give the committee kudos on that, because sometimes I think it's easy to just stick two teams that are popular that could potentially be ranked there, as opposed to two teams that are actually kind of like on equal footing. So I think that first four produced some pretty good games. The that Virginia, again, yeah, Virginia's games have been, all of them have been extremely wild.
Kimura.
Kimora Johnson, I mean, and again, we'll probably mention her very soon, but that one definitely stood out because, again, I think that is, you start to see where teams, you hear a lot of cliches at this time of the year, right? In terms of like the game slows down and you have to play through contact. You have to expect and embrace physicality. You know what I'm saying? You need to value possessions. And I really feel like both of those teams were. Were they perfect? By no means. No, no. But I mean, you could definitely tell without necessarily being mechanical, they were definitely being very cerebral, both. You know, I mean, that game was won not because of carelessness, right? But again, it's just, you know, inching, you know, your way to the finish line and having the opportunity to have final possession, you know. So,
And it was a 2-point win. It wasn't like it was a
yeah,
blowout. It was that last, it was like, what? Like I didn't see it coming. Like, I don't know. It was
right, right. Other than that, I think
what was that? That
we
was
didn't
Thursday. We had Missouri.
mention it.
Missouri and Stefan. Their name is so long. That wasn't bad. That was like neck and neck. But again, that those are teams that people probably wouldn't pay attention to. But that was a close game as well. Like you said, the first four was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I hated the Southern of it all. I'm so sorry. Like, I just knew as Southern advanced and their next opponent was going to be South Carolina that it was going to be a bloodbath. Okay. Like, that's the part of like this makeup of the bracket that's so bittersweet because you can have like a nice first four. And then as these lower teams move through, you just know what their fates are going to be. Like, just.
I mean, when you're essentially a 16 seed play-in, you know, you have to not only play your way into the official tournament, but then once you do, what is your reward? You play the number one
Play
seed.
the hardest.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, and again, we're not trying to say that like it should be restructured to favor or to give more, you know, opportunity to the lower seeds. But I mean, it's just like, yeah,
It's like, okay, man.
yeah. Maybe give him like 2 days off or something. I don't know. You know?
Give him rest, like spread your wings, do something. I don't know. Because the beating
yeah,
they take is just, I'm like, wow, you did so well before. And here we are. And they fight for like the first quarter, they be fighting.
I do. They do. They do. Well, speaking of fighting, there's a lot of teams that fought. Again, we already mentioned, like, you know, all the favorites, at least the one seeds, they all advanced as we expected to. And they did it in pretty much all of them, when all is said and done, pretty dominant fashion, you know. But for you, Mel, who was the team that impressed you the most? I mean, you could name a few if you want to, since you seem to do that, but you know.
Okay, a team that impressed me the most. I'm not gonna do the UConn thing, but I will say, if I am gonna mention UConn, I will say the UConn Syracuse game actually really impressed me. For multitudes of reasons. I thought it was one of the best first halves of basketball. I think Gino and everyone said it, that I've ever seen. It was insane. Like, they were so locked in as a team that it was great to watch as a fan and also just a fan of the game. Like, just watching basketball being played the right way, I thought it was crazy. I don't know. It was great. So many things. For me, team that Virginia, they might be our Cinderella story for the women's tournament this year. I think Virginia is putting on a performance that's just like, we might be lesser in terms of talent that everyone else has in the top seeds, but Virginia got heart. I don't know. Kimura has heart. Like, that is a hooper. Okay, she's really good at basketball, and to continuously have to play like 40 minutes plus because all the games are so down to the wire, essentially, right? Like, we had that overtime game.
Right.
And she's putting up numbers. Like, she is literally taking her team on her back and she's performing. And I think what's so great about March She's given me like a Sarah Ashley Barker performance from like Alabama, just like emptying the clip every game because any game could be your last, right? And you're a lower seed, so you got to perform. I think this just puts a lot of eyes on her and lets people know about her. Maybe if she was flying under the radar, I know we're on top of it. We know who she is. Um, but I think the most impressive team to me so far outside of UConn has been Virginia. Like Virginia to me has just been chef's kiss. I don't know. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I mean, for those who are tuning in on YouTube, just kind of pulled up the CBB analytics profile for Kimora Johnson, and to kind of further illustrate Mel's point, I mean, like, not only is Kimura continuing to lead her team, she has literally elevated her game in every single facet, right? So I mean, again, you'd have to zoom in if you're watching on YouTube, but basically I have like her regular season splits as opposed to her postseason splits. Postseason basically including both conference tournament and then March Madness, including the play-in game that the Cavaliers had to compete in. And I mean, like, you know, her points have gone up from like 19.5 to 21.3. The assists, the rebounding, the amount of time she's getting to the free throw line, uh, she's doing it. Like she is quite literally putting the team on her back. Incredibly impressive because I don't know, I think people definitely have been talking about Kimora Johnson, but I don't know if they've really been talking about her in
This
regards to like
level,
being like, yeah, kind of like one of the premier guards, in the D1 landscape, or even just like in the ACC, which make no mistake, ACC, great conference. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like, are you even being talked about as like one of the elite guards of your conference? I don't know, but you've seen it. And I think if you have been following Virginia or ACC basketball as the season progressed, again, just continuously started to elevate her game. But also, again, it wasn't just the same way. I mean, obviously, what was it? In overtime,
the last game, right?
yeah, right.
Played
Was
45
it double
minutes.
overtime? There was a
Double
stretch where
OT
she
played
basically scored like the
45.
first 9 points of Virginia's, right? Again, I think in overtime, but it's not just the scoring, I mean, again, the playmaking, she's doing it both on and off ball. I mean, like the fun audacity of her transition scoring, you know what I'm saying? Like just pulling up from like, 3 feet from behind the 3-point line, boom, you
Launching
know.
it and knowing that it's gonna go in, like having the confidence to take those shots. I always love to see players that those are
Yeah.
players that can meet the moment.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely, I mean, I know we're talking about team, but I mean, again, she has definitely been like not just the catalyst of her team, she's been the heart of her team. So I mean, I think she definitely deserves a little bit individual recognition. Um, but other than that, your other impressive teams or
I said UConn, just the dominance. Like I'm, you know, uh, you know who I was impressed with, just with the type of season they've had. And I know everyone has things to say about them, but I actually was impressed with Washington until the TCU game at the end of the fourth quarter. I wasn't a fan of that. I know everyone had their thing, but I was super impressed with the way that they were moving through the tournament. I actually thought they were going to go further, just because of the way they were playing, like Avery's play
I was about to
was.
say, just say it. Give the ball to Avery
Yeah,
Howell. Like that's all
let's
you gotta
not
do.
like
I don't
screw around.
understand what
Like
happened here.
Avery Howell was killing, okay? Like, and
I
then
mean,
they
I
got
feel
the
like
win.
we know what happened, but like why it happened, I don't know.
Coaching malpractice. I don't know. Um, it was just I really loved the body of work that they were starting to put on through the postseason. You saw a glimpse of it through the regular season, right? Like even when they played
Right.
Michigan and like they played USC. The first time they played USC, they lost, and then we were like, huh, I don't know what happened here. And then they played them again, and we were like, okay, we're up. So I was really enjoying what they were doing, and that TCU game. I just thought that was just a lapse in judgment of just like what to do. But Avery Howell, I can see it. I actually loved that she transferred because you get to actually see how she would impact a team and like play the game how she would want to play it. If that makes sense. I'm trying to find a better way
Right.
to.
Yeah. I think before we move on, I'll just give one shout out. I mean, obviously, impressive teams. It goes without saying. I'll say it anyway, right? UConn, Texas, UCLA, South Carolina. You
Oh, you're
handled
not.
business, right? So don't think we're just trying to gloss over the one seeds. But for
Yeah,
the
I mean, because it's one seeds, but
yeah,
like,
for the non-one seeds, I would actually, you already mentioned them, but Kentucky has impressed me. And I know a lot of fans, there's a
Yankees.
lot of mixed opinions about Coach Kenny Brooks. I get it. I mean, like, again, as a non Kentucky fan, like the dude amuses me, like
He's hilarious. But
like I don't know.
you can't deny that he has a pro ready system, right? Like,
Who does?
which is what I love, because like all his guards that he gets, I feel like he sets them up for success. So like, and I'm Team Tony Morgan, coming from Georgia
Yeah.
Tech, her fitting into Kentucky, phenomenal. Tiani Keys coming into Kentucky and the body of work she's been able to produce on Kentucky, and also being like a big factor from the LSU game, grabbing all those boards, like, and then to this game, like she had a double double along with, I'm a big fan of Strack. So I don't know. I know people have their thing about Kenny and Kenny's whatever, but I think for the pro ready system that he has and how he sets up his players, I think in that regards, it's fine with me.
Yeah. As far as, yeah, no, I'm just saying, as far as the college game goes, we kind of know that, like, say, compared to the pros, compared to like the WNBA, for lack of a better word, right? Like, college basketball head coaches kind of micromanage their team. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to not hold your hand, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they are going to drill it into you, like what you need to do from possession to possession if you don't know on your own accord. But as you were saying with Tony Morgan, like that Kentucky team is interesting because outside of like Boone, nobody's a particularly great 3-point shooter.
Nope.
And they find ways to manufacture spacing without any real, like, consistent threats. Are they fooling you into thinking that they are? I don't know.
We were talking about that, like in the LSU game when Tony hit that 3, and we're like, huh.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. I think specifically,
work, so.
Yeah, as you were saying, specifically, like, both their first two games, but especially that game against West Virginia, like, you could definitely tell, and it's not just a shout out to Kenny, it's definitely to the players with Clara, Tony. You could definitely see that they were very prepared and they understood what to do in every potential situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could tell they were not lost. And so that really stuck out to me. I really enjoyed that because, again, right, like all the cliches about the tournament, right, in terms of valuing possessions, they looked like a team that was ready. You can't go back, you can only move forward. So moving forward in the situation that they were in, it seemed like they knew what to do.
Like they've been here before, because you'd watch their other games, like when they play a South Carolina or something, like you're like, huh, this looks extremely different. Like the turnovers, like, have we never, I don't know, it's always a little bit chaotic when they play those other teams. So to see that they were able to, stick to the game plan and actually execute what they needed to do,
Yeah.
Virginia game was great, because West Virginia, if we're talking about a sneaker team, they've always been a really good defensive team to me. And like we were talking when the TCU game was happening, I don't know, I think West Virginia actually put together a pretty decent body of work throughout the season. So maybe that's why I really loved the game, because it was two teams that sometimes in the regular season you're like, I have no idea why you guys are playing like this, but then you get them in this postseason era and you're like, I get why, like, this is how you're supposed to show up, and they showed up well, and you're like, okay.
It seemed like both teams truly embodied their team identity, like they, and it worked. It worked to produce like a back and forth game. So that was pretty cool. So kudos to all those teams. Now for the maybe not as impressive, the most disappointing team. You can say more than one. I don't want to like completely bash on them, but I think
list.
Again. Okay. All right. Take it away. I mean, I have mine, but
You know, I don't want to call them disappointing. Just didn't perform as we would want them to or hope to. I'm gonna go ahead and say Texas Tech. Um,
hmm.
they're an interesting one, right? Because I actually enjoyed their game against one of the Big East baddies, Villanova. Um, it was a close game. It was a close game. Um, but then they played the next game.
Okay. Darn. It wasn't a self-contained tournament, huh? Okay.
I was like, what is this team? Like 7 points in the third quarter was crazy. Like they barely hit 20 points. So you look at it and you're like, barely mopping. What was going on? I don't know.
Yeah.
Texas Tech is they're such a strange team. Like one in the regular season, they were undefeated for a minute. And you look at them and you're like, okay, I'm expecting an undefeated team to give me something and be like more of a powerhouse. Then they get into this tournament, and obviously I expect you to beat Villanova. I would expect you to beat them a little bit more. So the fact that they had such issues with like the motion offense was kind of crazy to me. And then Bailey finally showed up at the end. But that's how all of the Texas Tech games have been anyway, so wasn't too
Right.
surprised. But that LSU game, I'm like, okay, like if you guys, it was weird. I don't know. So Texas Tech, Iowa State. I don't need to say much else. Um, Ole Miss disappointed me a little bit as well, just because even with the game against Minnesota, I just feel like we're talking possessions by possessions. I just felt like there were several possessions that they should have been up way more. Just based on the type of team that Ole Miss is and just based on the body of work that they've done throughout the season. Like you would expect a more dominant game. I know Reffin hasn't been great. That's actually one of my pain points that I wrote down that's made me mad in the tournament so far. It's been a little iffy, but again, it is the tournament, so I expect a lot of both physicality, but also calls that are just like egregious. And you just have to play through that, right? You can't really play into the ref's hand because you're going to get games like you get before. So they were a little bit disappointing for me on that one. That's two. I had one more. What was the other game that disappointed me? Georgia. I expected Georgia to
Real.
go further. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I expected them
Okay.
a little.
Elaborate a little bit. So,
You
not that
know,
not that they couldn't have. I'm just curious as to perhaps what exactly were you looking for from them?
their star player to show me a little bit more.
Okay.
Um, I just felt like she could have done more because, like, they've always
Who,
had a
like
big
Carnegie?
three. Yeah, she didn't
Danny
really show
Carnegie?
up.
Okay.
She didn't show up, and I think that's what a lot of people. So the win for Virginia, I think that's what a lot of people were hoping for, right? Like that their big three would show up, and like Carnegie would do what she's been doing the later end of the regular season. So I really
Mhm.
did think that she was going to give me that game where you see in the tournament of that player that just skyrockets because I really love her. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It was a little, I just thought they would go a little bit further. Um, or I just thought that they would actually beat Virginia. But once again, my Cinderella team. Just
Well, we gave a lot of flowers to Kimora Johnson, but shout out Paris Clark for that
yeah,
one because I
yeah,
mean
yeah.
she was kind of draped all over Danny
Oh,
Carnegie
and that's
throughout
why she
that
couldn't do
game.
anything. My last disappointed team, Tennessee. How did I
All
forget
right, this
that?
was definitely on my list, so go ahead, please
What on planet
elaborate.
Earth? It's so crazy to me because Tennessee, they're just not bought into the system. And it's unfortunate because you have players like Cooper, you have, you know, the twin, the one of the Paldo twins. You have a really athletic team. Obviously, we see that people are now entering the transfer portal, but it just felt like they had no interest in winning that game.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people pick them based off of just pedigree, right? Like you're picking Tennessee because it's Tennessee. So you're expecting like them to come together. I feel like last year's team that she had when she first brought in this system of 5 in, 5 out, they bought into it. They actually had players that wanted to make it work. So when they did that full court press, it it was a deciding factor, right? Like it was a thing. Everybody was like, "Yo, what is this? Like this is crazy, fresh legs." But now this year, I hated that game so much. Yeah, very disappointed in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were Tennessee is definitely the most obvious selection for this segment in terms of most disappointing team. And before we put any blame on the coaching staff or the players, this is where I really take exception to the selection committee's decision making. I mean, now that you're including, right, their one and done appearance in the tournament. They ended their season with what I believe 8 consecutive losses.
I didn't know how they made it in. I was
See, okay, let's be real. If they weren't Tennessee, if they didn't have the historical legacy, would they have really been in this tournament? Now, I hear people saying that, well, Conrad, it's the entire season's body of work, and they did have some like quad 1, quad 2 wins earlier in the season. So I definitely don't want to make our assessment of their qualifications or the merit of them being in the tournament just simply on recency bias. But at the same time, you have to factor in, okay, take into account the injuries, take into account now the players who are just disappearing from the team, right? Whether that is being dismissed or voluntarily, like, just
sick.
I don't know, a different way of saying quitting, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? So the team that like got those quad 1 and quad 2 wins, they're not even there anymore. Like it's not the same team it was when they were like finding a way to gut out those wins. Like this is where I have a problem, because not only did you give them a spot, you gave them a 10 seed. And you didn't even make them a first 4 team. This is why, like, okay, when you're asking, you know, like I kind of cryptically said BYU should have been in the tournament, and I still stand by that. And someone said, like, well, then who should they have gone in over?
And BYU, mind you, had a couple different upsets as well.
Yeah.
And a better later end of their regular season than Tennessee. Again, not taking anything from Tennessee. I do love Tennessee. That's our rivals. I just felt like, wow, I don't know. And then when you look at the performance, it was just like,
it was completely listless. You know, and I'm being very I think I'm being very kind with that adjective. You know, I tweeted during the game that, I mean, like, literally, look, it's right there on TV. Look at how disinterested,
dejected. Like the players didn't even look like they came to play a basketball game.
No, dejected is different. Like, you're morose, you're forlorn. They didn't even look like they cared. You know,
like, oh,
well,
yeah,
I mean, Talasia definitely cared. She definitely cared.
She was in tears.
You know,
and I felt
yeah, she cared. She cared.
She was trying to put them on her back, like willing them back, like, guys, let's do
it.
And it's so crazy because at the start of the season, they had that one player that was just racking off threes from the corner. I forgot what her name is, but she had like 8 or 9 threes one game, and that's typically their 3-point shooter. But it just felt like they weren't running sets. They didn't want to play defense.
Yeah.
And where they could have taken over, like they could have taken advantage of NC State guards, but they didn't.
Because a 7-10 matchup, if you're going to hope for competitiveness in the first round, it's always going to be the 8-9, the 7-10s, maybe the 6-11. So for them to get in as a 10 and to basically be gifted that spot and that seed, you know, like, yeah, that's why I'm disappointed in them, but I'm also disappointed in the committee for that. And I get it. I understand that, you know, the bucks that an SEC team, like the money that an SEC team brings to the tournament field, but I don't know, you know, like I feel like there are other high major teams that should have been, had a better case. But other than that, like, let's not like litter this too much with negativity. I'll add one team that I don't think was necessarily just disappointing for their tournament appearance. It kind of lingered, like permeated through the entire second half of the season. I gotta say Iowa State.
Yeah, glad we're on that.
It's Iowa State, in the sense that, like, okay, and I'm not trying to pile on any one player, but let's put it out there, right? Everyone is making a big deal, and I think a justifiably big deal, about Audi Crooks's defensive limitations, or, you know, her inconsistencies on the defensive end. Let's phrase it like that. You know, again, she seems like a great team player, a great teammate. I'm sure she understands and processed this criticism. I would like to think that this is something that she's going to work on.
Oh
But
yeah, off season.
within the season, again, so I have a belief that she'll take accountability for what she came up short on. But in terms of like from a team aspect, I was disappointed that there wasn't a better game plan.
Yeah, I
Like
didn't
what
understand
was
that.
that? You
I
know?
didn't, and it was what's crazy is like towards the end of the game, right? Because again, she did finish with 30 plus, right? She tried
Yeah.
to do her best. I also wanted to talk about the Jada of it all. I don't. Where did she go? The Jada and the Addy, like they just didn't really do much. But for Audie, I just feel like I don't know why they didn't just put her, set her up better, right? Like feed her the ball to take advantage of the mismatches um, that we had down there. I don't know. I know Uche is, she's a little tall. She's, are they the same height?
Roughly. I mean, I was
But
like, what, six, three,
Audie
four?
has the body, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the frame to get to the line and like muscle her way in there. So I don't know. It wasn't like a concerted effort to like do more with that or any, I don't know. That was such a bizarre game. Like as Iowa State has always been a bit weird to me, and they always end up the same way at the end of the season. So I'm one not surprised, but I'm still like, huh, I wanted more because
No, I
yeah.
think again because I think the problems that the team was facing that was for at least half the season,
Yeah,
right?
you think they make adjustments, but they didn't.
That's it right there. That's why I'm saying
Every
they're a disappointing
figured
team
them
for me.
out so quickly, which is what I think also what Syracuse great job on scouted because they just did
Yeah,
what everyone else did, right? Like even when the Baylor game, remember that game? Like make somebody else beat you,
right,
essentially.
right,
So
right.
it's crazy that they played that many game and they also was on that losing streak for a minute and they still didn't make any adjustments to that and still expected her to like will them to victory while again the other players just didn't show up, which is unfortunate. So like I leave both with disappointment and just also like what does that mean for Crooks for the next year? You know, like what does that look like?
Right. Right. I mean, again, everyone's saying that, like, oh, she should transfer or other people should transfer or they need a new coach. But I mean, again, like, I don't know who to necessarily blame if blaming is the right, strategy or,
Can't
course
figure
of
them out.
action.
Yeah, I can't figure them out.
But I think they definitely need to identify or solidify an actual identity.
Like who are
Because
we gonna be?
other than throwing the ball to Audi in the post, I'm not sure there was anything else. So again, maybe it is coaching, right? But still,
Yeah.
still
Because
at a certain
that's
point,
what everyone figured out, right? Because remember that game they were like, yo, I dare Jada to shoot.
yeah.
They were like, we're just gonna double Crooks.
Hey, Jada did have one of those legacy games though.
Did she capitalized? Dare me to shoot, I'm a shoot. So I was
You
expecting
know,
that in that Syracuse game. I'm like, yo, do something.
there you
No.
go. Well, again, I mean, I think overall there is definitely more positivity. Oh, go ahead. Nope,
I'm
there's
happy.
more negativity.
No, not really negativity, just more so game two just didn't give me what I needed, but I just feel like this has been part of the course for this particular group. Um each 2 5 games, I don't know. Baylor. Baylor,
Yeah.
Baylor, the Baylor of it all. I feel like the game prior to the Duke game, Scott had that shot. She could always put a game away. But then they came in to play Duke, and I know Duke is like a great defensive team. Shout out to Kara, and they figured out the offensive side of it all. But I don't know that game. What happened?
Yeah,
That
I
was
mean,
that was a crazy one. I don't know. 46 to
Baylor
6.
is definitely offensively limited. I wouldn't necessarily use that as an excuse, but as you were saying, right, Duke came up with a great game plan, right? Continuously just kind of like going over screens, not allowing Talia
Not allowed
Scott
to get
to like
going.
really get downhill. and again, they had the length to contest on her pull-ups, forcing her to even tougher fadeaways against taller defenders. You see the ball put they were able to get the ball out of her, especially late in the shot clock. And then so what? Bella Fauntleroy or Diarra, Little Page Bugs is gonna create something. And no, and I love them, right? I love them as players, but again, having them create, late in the shot clock, of course, it's not going to favor them. The thing though is that I was hoping that, given that neither team plays at a particularly fast pace, it would give Baylor the opportunity, right, to be in it.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah.
But they were just like kind of MIA for like the first 2.5, 3 quarters.
I was confused.
Yeah,
that's been my thing this year with Baylor. I'm like, I'm so confused.
Well, in terms of not being confused, some players who definitely gave us some clarity into just how special they can be, or how they could definitely rise to the occasion. Who are some of your instant March Madness legends? Now, what we mean by this is players who either like just an amazing play or an amazing performance that kind of defines, like, you're always going to remember it when you think back to the 2026 March Madness tournament, and obviously Mel and I were talking about it. You're going to definitely remember, Madison Booker's 40, or, Lauren Betts' 35, AZ Fudd's 34, but
Michaela
we're kind of here some of the players that maybe aren't considered like the quote unquote superstars. So Mel, who are some that really stood out to you that, you're probably going to remember their special player, special performance, for years to come?
Britt Prince.
Okay. Yes.
As my list goes. Britt Prince, I think, again, they lost to Baylor. Like, so confused, right? Like, what she does on the offense and just how she's been able to navigate and lead the team, she's a top guard. Britt Prince put up a nice body of work this season, regular season, and also postseason. I think something that you like to say a lot, especially like when it comes to like a Kelsey Plum of it all, like she's an analytics darling. I think Britt Prince,
Yes.
like if you want analysis, Britt Prince is your girl. Like she definitely covers a lot of things that you're looking at. I'm gonna go with the Maryland Murray State game. McLean, she had a really good performance. I think she did. It was a double-double, 19 points, 14 rebounds.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had another one. More so of a bench player. Was it Brooks? Nyla? It was Nyla Harris.
Nyla Brooks.
Okay.
Or, right?
They're both same name, right? Can't remember. It's Brooks or Harris. Both of them. UNC. We know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Nyla Harris came off the bench. No, Brooks came off the bench, but Nyla Harris had a double-double as well. She had 17 points, rebounds, and 3 steals when they played Western Illinois. And I had picked Western Illinois just because let's have fun. I thought she had a really good game. Amaya Battle isn't going to be back next year, but she's been having a time. I know we're not talking about like the obvious people like the Hannahs or whatever, but I'm going to push out Hannah's. I think what Hannah has been able to do with the roster that she's had.
What does that mean?
Dude, they've been a little shorthanded this year, a little bit. And we finally got back KK.
Give my countrywoman Vanessa De Jesus some credit, okay?
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Steady hand. Okay, no, I'm kidding.
For one point, it was just Hannah, De Jesus, and Cass. Like more started showing up later on. Ayana finally decided to give us something, and then KK's back. You know what I mean? Notre Dame.
No, I know what you mean.
They've been a little hurt. So them going into the Sweet 16 again, their favorite thing, is always so great. And Hannah, I love them dearly. Hannah is just that kind of person where it's like, yo, competitor. Okay, like she'll will you somewhere. But my last one was Ohio State. And I should have put them in disappointing team just a little bit because I was a little disappointed with how things went for them. Because Jelani Cambridge, come to the front. She has been putting on regular season post 41. Like she really, that game against Notre Dame, which I thought was such an interesting game because you knew it was going to be like an all out thing, but I just felt like no one else on the team wanted to go all out with her, which was kind of sad to see. Because they've had performances where I'm like, I'm watching OSU and I'm in it to win it. Like I was one of their biggest fans. So I thought, yeah, Jelani, I'm excited to see her junior season. And just an honorable mention to Katie Fiso. They didn't fare well against Texas, but I'm always going to be a supporter of the Ducks. So
Ducks fly together, and that's Mighty Ducks, but still counts.
that's all I got, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely mentioned her, but I gotta mention her again. Amaya Battle.
Yeah.
Amaya Battle, that's the stuff of legend right there. I think both, if you're just a general CBB fan, but especially like if you are a diehard like Minnesota Gophers fan, and it's pretty cool. You saw their arena, just how packed it was, how raucous it was. And as you said, even though she is a senior, Amaya Battle is, and frankly, even though I've given her some attention, in terms of like draft evals and everything like that, I could easily kind of keep myself in check and say maybe I didn't give her enough attention. I think more often than not, I think, we as fans, even the media, you kind of have like these preconceived notions, or like you have this vision of what you think a certain player or a certain position should provide. Right. And so if you say Amaya Battle and she's a point guard, I mean, she definitely facilitates well, but not much of a shooter, opportunistic scorer, but she's never like looking to hunt for her own shot. So you kind of maybe either underestimate or maybe you tend to gloss over players like that don't fit the mold that you have. But Amaya Battle, she may not be of that prototypical mold, but again, like I've said it multiple times, she is without a doubt one of the best defensive rebounders in the entire nation, not just for a guard, one of the best, period.
Overall, yep.
And again, you cannot dismiss that when, again, dominating the glass is a big part of Minnesota's identity or team identity, and she has a large part to do with it. But again, having a game-winning shot in that manner, which allowed them to go to the Sweet 16 for the first time in 21 years. I had to look that up. First time in 21 years. I mean, that's special. That's cool. That's the stuff of legends. I think Minnesota fans will forever remember that play. Again, she had a great overall, like all around game, but compared to like all the other players we mentioned, not the gaudiest, stat line or anything like that, but definitely an amazing performance. And this one has more to do in terms of how I think she's related to her fan base and her team. But Laura Ziegler of Louisville.
Okay.
I mean, again, very high on her. I like her as a draft prospect, maybe like a third round prospect, a great utility player. And sometimes utility player, you might think like, okay, she's not particularly great at any one thing. I think that's how some people might interpret it.
Development pool.
Oh, definitely.
For the CBA.
Yes, a great candidate for the developmental player spot. But I'm saying for March Madness, holy F, dude, I had no idea that like she could light a fire under her team the way she did. And like it could be any little thing. Like if she got to the free throw line or if she got a deflection, not even a block, a deflection, right? Everything, like hyping up the crowd, stomping on her feet, like, to get everybody, like that's the stuff you love. That's the stuff you love in March Madness. And I think, as you were saying, they're not, as they've now entered the Sweet 16, they're not going to be, like compared to the higher seeds. Like, yes, they will probably be outmatched, but I mean, they're finding ways to, again, just kind of grind out possessions. And she's a big part of that. So definitely really, really impressed. And, that's the type of stuff that you want to see, you want to see your players care,
They lost. Never mind. Go for it. You go for it. You go for it. No, you're good. I
You
was
good?
thinking. Yeah, I was thinking of something. I'll wait.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of our topics are now kind of like, seeping into each other, but this one I think is a fun one.
I wanted to
She
mention
got next
one more person, and it's gonna
for Legend.
for Legends,
Go for it.
just because it was. Also, want to correct myself. We were right. It was Nyla Brooks. They both have the
Mhm.
same damn first name. It was Nyla
Yeah.
Brooks. Oh, bench, yeah. Just a performance of Legend, really. Even though it's from a #1 seed, the AZ FUD of it all, and this is not just to Blaze. Dude, the way she was treating Syracuse was insane. And it's just the way that she scored. Like, we always talk about it, just how quickly she can impact the game. Like, having 26 points in 18 minutes, you blinked and it was over. Like, I think she said she entered flow state. I love a performance like that because, again, Paige had one last year. Again, there's, same. And then kind of reminded me of, like, the Oklahoma game where they just, like, show you that even though UConn players play within a system, that they can light it up whenever they want, right? Like, they're not bounded by the like that whole system that they play in. So for me, I like to see performances like that in a time of March, and I thought that was the one where she just completely took over. So to do that, 26 have a 26 half, and then also doing all of that and scoring 34 points and not going to the free throw line, impressive. That's all I have to say about that.
No, definitely very cool. I mean, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to again just gloss over, right?
Yeah,
Like
you
the
feel like I can't
like the
gloss over that
superstars,
performance.
but like hey, right? Like I feel like that goes without saying.
72% field goal
You
and
know,
72% from three. What? Like,
was it? I
yeah.
tweeted it out this morning. 94% true shooting percentage.
Like, what is that? Like, I looked at the numbers again and I was like, you know what? Whatever, man. Like, this
It's
is
up there. It's up there.
it's crazy. Yeah.
It's up there.
As
Again, really shows both the extent of the separation she can create within a game. Okay, on to the next topic. So as we were saying, in terms of she got next, make no mistake, right? This current era, Lauren Betts, we just talked about them all, right? Like Lauren Betts, AZ. I mean, I guess you could Joyce Edwards and all of them, Madison Booker, they're going to return next year. But still, in terms of like more like players that are kind of showing they're the up and coming like stars of the college basketball landscape, were there any couple like any players where you're like, yeah, she'll be back, she's got next?
Jelani Cambridge, I feel like she definitely flew under the radar in terms of just like, she just hasn't been getting a lot of, I don't know, she hasn't been getting a lot of praise, which is crazy to me because what she's doing at Ohio State, and maybe it's just Ohio State and people are just fatigued of Ohio State and just what the program is currently, I don't know. But like, to me, I think Jelani Cambridge is one of the better upcoming point guards. And she's a scoring point guard. We all know I love those.
Yes.
So yeah, I think she's up and coming. Nyla Harris, I've been watching her for a minute with the UNC. I think UNC also has like they have a chance for something next year because they're gonna get that player. I can't remember her name right now, but she just dropped like 50 or whatever. Is it McKenna? What is her name?
Who?
The UNC recruit coming in. I'm gonna. It's supposed to be really good.
Okay, wow. All right.
Losing it. Okay, so Uche. Somebody that could just get to their spots, and then her elevation, while also with her height, is really good as well because even though she was denied from doing what she did to Iowa State, I was watching some of her shots that she took on UConn, like at the end of the quarters, and you can tell when she elevated, she's like over her defender, and she knows exactly the ball. Very, I know people were saying it, very Asia-esque. Like she hit that mid-range pull-up, chef's kiss. I was impressed with her, and I think next year, if Syracuse is able to obtain some talent to go around her and to move with her, I think they they can do something. They can make some shake. Um, that's two. Obviously, Sarah Strong, Michaela Blake's. I don't. I'm okay. I'm gonna say what you said. Not. I'm not glass like glancing over the top people. But just people that I'm thinking of outside of them. For now, we already mentioned Kimura Bun. She's a junior, so she'll be back. Ava will be back. Hiding. Trying to think. Oh, Zam Jones.
Who?
Zamora Jones. Zam Jones.
Oh, okay.
NC
Okay.
State. I thought she had a good showing. Even in the Tennessee game, she took over. When Zoe Brooks was having some issues. So big fan. For going back to UConn, the K9 of it all. I don't know. There's so
Oh, K9. Okay.
love me some K9.
Yeah.
Um,
Apparently, I'm like, the president of the K9 fan club. I'll take it among my other titles. Cool.
President of K9 out here. FISO.
Woof.
Katie gonna run it up for me. And then for looking at Michigan, obviously the sophomore class is gonna continue to excel, right? Like that sophomore class. Oh my God, what does that sound? That sophomore class is just gonna keep doing their thing. So
Yeah.
those are a few. I'm not gonna do the obvious people, the Jazzies, the whatever. We're just gonna keep them.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'll quickly go. You named some of them already. But definitely Katie Fiso. Very high on her. I had the opportunity to speak to Coach Kelly Graves around Christmas time, and I talked to him specifically about Katie, and you could tell how much, like, obviously, his job is to be the head coach of the Oregon women's basketball team, but like you could tell how much he truly, truly cares about her, how much he really is invested in her success, and not like, I don't know, it didn't come off like, oh, hey, right, because I want to get wins. Like you could tell like he definitely cares about all of his players, but specifically like, he understands the highs and lows that she goes through. He understands the pressure that she puts on herself, and all that's to say, like, I think he's a great coach, both a coach and support system, to continue to get the best out of her. You saw the massive leap she took from freshman year to sophomore year. Again, development's not linear, but I just feel like she is in the right system, the right infrastructure to continue getting the best out of her. And again, as you said, right? I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, they got their ass kicked by Texas, right? But like, again, I mean, you could easily hang your head and everything like that, but I definitely appreciated her post-game sentiment, saying that, like, this is not the end. This is just a beginning, and these are the steps you got to take to being great, so I definitely like that. I think she's definitely going to be amongst the best guards within the nation in like these next 2 years. You mentioned Britt Prince. I got to mention her again, because like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, okay, like Britt, like, whoa, she hit, she finished the season 50, 40, 90, and that's cool. Make no mistake, I'm not trying to downplay the significance of a 50, 40, 90 season, but I don't know, right? Like if I hit like 50, 39, 9, and 90, am I lesser? You know what I'm saying? But all I am saying is like, my God, as only a sophomore, she is quite literally like one of the most complete scoring pick and roll point guards in the nation. It's not even close.
Darling, I'll be trying to tell
yeah, dude. Again, just in terms of field goal percentage, right? Field goal percentage and where she ranks, is there anything that she doesn't do well, right? When she scores as the pick and roll ball handler, 47.6% from the field. That's total, right? Right. That would put her in the 93rd percentile of all players. Transition, insane, 71.4%. Okay, 95th percentile. Spotting up, 42.4%, 91st percentile. Coming off screens, this is insane, 57.1%, 96th percentile. Cutting, when she's cutting, 80%, 99th percentile in the nation.
She's usually on the smaller end too when she's cutting. So to be
do traffic. Right, her catch and shoot, 47.6% from the field, or 47.6% on catch and shoot threes. Off the dribble, 38.7. She is one of the most complete scoring point guards or scoring guards, in the net. Like, it's crazy. And it's funny how, like, anytime, again, this is what we just talked about, right? like when you have like these standout performances from a player who's not from a blue blood or like a power five. Well, actually, like she has a power five conference, but yeah, like a blue blood team, right?
Yeah, like the top
You,
ones.
you, you see fans be like, hey, right? Like, coaches get on the phone, transfer portal. But like, I don't know. I have no intel, but I mean, for everything I know about her, right? Like, she's born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska. Like, Nebraska isn't just a school she aspired to go to. It's very much a big part of her and her family's like life, like upbringing. I
Mhm.
don't know. I mean, like, I would love to see her stay at Nebraska, assuming that they're serious about continuing to build up that program. I think she wants to be a part of making it, into like a contending team. But yeah, all I'm saying is like I really appreciate, I like the approach that she's taken, and again how serious it is. Like it means something to her more than just like, this is where I'm playing, like
Yeah, like I'm just here for school and ball, and I'm out of here.
yeah.
Hometown kids. I always love a hometown kid story. So
Yeah.
that's a good.
A true homegrown player. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know? And this one, like my last one, this is like kind of maybe like a random shout, but like she kind of like low key impressed me throughout the season, and she finished out her season with a nice, strong performance. This is Alabama guard Ace Austin.
Ah,
Now,
you like that Louisville Alabama game 1 point win?
yes, the reason why I held off mentioning Ace is because obviously today the news that Christy Curry is leaving Alabama. Head coach Christy Curry is leaving Alabama. She'll be
News
going
of the
to
day, by the way.
yeah, she'll be going to USF, which is really cool. So the only reason why I said is I don't know if now that Christy Curry is leaving, will some of the other players perhaps hop in the transfer portal? See, so I don't know if Ace Austin will be staying at Alabama, but all I'm saying is I think she has the type of game. I don't know if you're going to necessarily make her the centerpiece of a team's offense, but I think she definitely has shown that probably by next year she could step into a significantly bigger role, more usage. She's just the type of player that brings a level of dynamism to any lineup, and you don't really need to run specific action for her. I really feel like we're going to see her on this stage again, in the upcoming years. So that's my shout there. So I don't know. I mean, if she goes with Christy, that's cool. But I mean, it sucks because I really liked what that Alabama team was doing too.
They always show up postseason.
They
Regular season,
do.
it's always we're always like, I don't know, but postseason, they put up a good thing, like 68-69. That was a tight game. I did have 2 honorable mentions, and I can't believe we
Go for
forgot.
it.
My point guard, she might be undersized, Galvin.
Yes.
And
Okay.
then I'm a big Obs fan. I love point guards, by the way, for anyone listening. I'm a big point guard believer. And then Justine Passat, even though she's a senior, I don't know, maybe she'll get an extra year. You've done a lot of scoring breakdowns for her, and even her shooting at her size, and just how well she gets off the three. I feel like if she gets what was probably like a 3rd round pick, we're thinking.
I don't know. On my personal board, if it was me, she's a 2nd round pick.
I would put her in second just because of how well she shoots at the clip. Like 6'4" guard, just doing it
50% on transition threes.
Like
just stepping in.
Are like really hard.
And you're 6'4".
And I hate transition threes, by the way, because you got to be really good to hit them, right? And you're 6'4", and you just launching those and making them. Come on. And neighbor in New Jersey, New York here, but whatever. I don't know. I think she would be, if she is 2nd round or if she is 3rd round, maybe she ends up as a developmental pool player. But I think she could have next and make something shake for whatever team gets her. Like she could be a nice off the bench role player, especially for moments where you need a shot.
I agree. And great Galvan shout. Dude, did you see that one pass she had along the baseline? Like the fast pitch, like right? The fastball? Like what the I was gonna say, man, there's like a non-0% chance she could play baseball. No, like I know I just like kind of jumped from softball to baseball, but maybe both. I'm just saying, like, dude.
The whip? I just watched that this morning.
Like the velocity on that thing.
Whipped.
With her left hand too. You know what I'm saying?
Whipped.
Yeah.
And the baseline drives they always frustrate me so much because I feel like not everyone could do them. And it always either goes out of bounds. But the way she whipped it directly into her shooting hand. And that person was able to get their shot like right in the shooting pocket. I was like, all right,
Crazy,
man.
dude.
Like, like seen
Someone's been
enough.
in the weight room. I guess.
Right.
Damn.
So those are
So,
my two honorable mentions just of
all
the
right. I love it. I love it. Well, before we close out, I mean, nothing too comprehensive, but we now know the 16 teams that are in the Sweet 16. So just kind of not necessarily a preview or even a breakdown, but just like what are some of the things that like you're kind of looking for in the Sweet 16, or some of the things that maybe you think fans should keep an eye out for?
I think for like repeated rematches, I think we should keep an eye out for how those performances go. And when I say that, I'm talking about the South Carolina Oklahoma game. Obviously, South Carolina is going to want to get their lick back for that. So I can see a lot of defensive adjustments on Chavez. Um, I can see Oklahoma making defensive adjustments for Beers and also making her more of an offensive factor for that game. Texas and Kentucky. I'm always frustrated when they play each other because this is what I was talking about with Kentucky in the regular season. It always appears as if they're like confused when they play Texas. They get a lot of turnovers.
They do.
They can't dribble the ball. The press kills them. So I'm really hoping that like Kenny has made adjustments for that and we adapt because this will be not the second time you're playing them, probably like the third. I can't remember. They played so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to to Louisville and Michigan. That's going to be a battle of the guards. I think Virginia is going to beat TCU. Not me giving my picks. UConn, UNC, sure. Notre Dame, like I don't know, like what I don't know. UNC would have to play the game of their lives. I don't know. I just feel like what UConn's been doing lately has been insane. UCLA and Minnesota. I feel like Minnesota's not a good matchup for UCLA.
Yeah, no.
They've played before, and I'm not hungry. But like we'll see. Like maybe something happens there. Every game something can happen, right? Duke LSU, I'm also not really hungry, but let's see how Duke adjusts because now they can score. So they found that identity. So that's going to be a good adjustment. And Notre Dame and Vanderbilt, two players that are exactly the same. So their other players will have to step up. And that's how I see that game going. I actually think Blake's and Hidalgo are about to be just like replicas of one another, and we're gonna need more to step up on Notre Dame. We're gonna need KK to do something, De Jesus to do something, Cass to give us something, and then on the Vanderbilt side, we're gonna need Justine to shoot the lights out. We're gonna need Galvin to not get the ball stolen from her from Hannah. Like I don't know, it's gonna be an interesting matchup. I'm intrigued. So that's the game I'm more intrigued of than any of the other ones, really.
Nice.
Don't
Nice. No, I think you touched on every matchup pretty well. I don't think I have too much more to add other than like, yeah, there's a few that I think could go either way. As you said, Kentucky has kind of struggled. No, I take that back. They've struggled against Texas. But at the end of the day, right, this goes back to what we said. Can you do it for another game? And again, doing what? Embracing your identity, right? Like basketball is not played in a vacuum. It's not a series of one-on-one matchups, right? It's 5-on-5. But having said that, can you not make an argument that Tony Morgan can match up well against Rory Harmon or Jordan Lee? Can you not make an argument that Clara Strack, in my opinion, Clara Strack is better than any Texas big, right? Assuming you're saying Madison is more of like a 3-4 or whatever. Maybe she's not. She's more of a 4 maybe in that lineup, in their lineup. All I'm saying though is, who needs to dominate their respective, matchup. I don't know. I think there's something there. I'm with you. I feel like the only one, I don't say only, I think the one that on paper looks like it's the closest is Michigan and Louisville.
Yeah.
And that's almost a clash of styles. Almost. Like, I wouldn't really look at both those teams and say, oh, yeah, man, they do the same stuff, right? Like, I don't know. It's not as bad as some of, like, the first round matchups, right? Like, for example, TCU versus my alma mater. those two couldn't have been any different in terms of playing style. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow.
I rooted for your alma mater.
Hey, we scored points and everything. It was over like literally like 40 seconds into the game, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I'm with you. It might have to be more of a guard oriented matchup, Louisville versus Michigan. That is, I would love to see Laura Ziegler pull something, pull another rabbit out of her hat one more time, and only because I find it to be so entertaining. Like, my God.
All you hear in the commentator is Ziegler. I'm like, all right, girl, run it up.
That's what I'm saying, right?
I think Raina Scott might have a legacy game. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm calling it.
All right. Well, with that said, I think we're going to sign off here. I think the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 will be extremely fun. I know people have their picks. I don't know how broken everybody's bracket is. I thought mine was like okay until it wasn't. So
I checked mine this morning. I was like, well, this is why I don't do this. So we're all screwed. I don't think there's a perfect bracket left.
Isn't they say there's one? I feel like ESPN said there's like one.
It's one rage bait one, like completely rage bait. They have like Texas winning, and then all the other games are like, what are these? What pick was this?
It's Photoshop.
Yeah.
Photoshop, man. It's Photoshop. Well, okay, Mel, let the good people know where they can find you and all your great work. And I can attest it's great because I edit it. So
the best editor ever. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. It's Melly331. It's on the screen. So that's M and the 3 is there instead of the E. LLY331. Great commentary over there. We do a lot of jokes. And just a lot of basketball from all different levels. So check me out, follow me, say hi. It's always a good time.
All right. And as always,
whenever I can finish editing those. I've been promising Conrad that forever. So
wow, there you go. Leave the fans in anticipation. Well, as always, you can find me at CP3_777. You'll find all the links to my work at the top of my profile. This podcast, East Meets West, and my other podcast, Indie Basketball, and the stuff I do on the Center Hub, or that Mel and I do on the Center Hub. And yeah, you'll definitely be hearing from us again very shortly. We'll probably get back to you guys again after the Elite 8, and definitely more official WNBA content, because we now know for sure that there is a season that's going to take place in a couple weeks. So, all right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.